So in another video, I talked about a lot of times high income earners kind of have this impression of how they should save for retirement or manage and organize their investments. And that video was all about one big common mistake that a lot of high income earners make when it comes to regard to tax-free savings. And the whole point of that video was about how to arrange your investments so that you can kind of minimize the amount of taxes you pay. But ultimately, as with everything with investing, it's not really about minimizing the taxes, it's about being able to do what you want. So this video is about a very common mistake that I find high income earners making when they're arranging their investments, not just from a taxation standpoint, but from where they're allocating their investments and kind of like their goals and what they're trying to do with that. So I'll go over that real quick. It stems from a conversation I was having with two physician's assistants, great couple. Both of them were in the Navy, I was in the Marines. We had that instant connection. They said, hey, we want to go through this financial planning process, and we went through it. And at the very end, during the recommendation phase, when I was showing them how to arrange their investments, I said, you probably don't want to max out your 401k. So that's one common mistake that I see if you're looking for the quick answer is high income earners, especially dual income high income earners, will max out their 401k. So you might be saying to yourself, well, listen, I'm in a good field where I can make a lot of money. Maybe I don't make that much money right now. Maybe I'm a single income earner with good earning potential. All those kind of things do come into play when you're thinking about how to arrange your investments. But having successfully helped people retire and get to retirement for over a decade, I really have seen people at every level of their financial journey. And so I kind of have a crystal ball into your future. So in the rest of this video, I'll just talk about some of the disadvantages of stuffing a bunch of money into a 401k or an HSA or a 529 plan, and why you may want to do it and why you may not want to do it. So if I haven't met you yet, my name is Chris Reed. I'm the owner of Capital Partners Wealth Management. I make these videos because I believe every client deserves a lot of my time. So I don't have time to help everybody, but I truly believe that a little bit of financial tweaking can help improve lives. And ultimately, that's why I spent 20 years in the Marines. And so that's why I make these. If you find something useful or you have a specific question, I've helped people out through the comments before arrange some of their finances, and I've gotten some good feedback on that. So leave a comment, ask a question if you have one. In the last year or so, I've helped a couple that wants to go take a sabbatical, go traveling through Alaska. Great couple, super envious because I really want to go camp in Alaska, but that's kind of their plan. This other couple of physician's assistants, they both work a lot of hours, and what they really want to do is get a rental property and reduce the number of hours that mom works so that she can stay home and help raise their young kids, which raising a family probably is more important than anything money can buy or do. I think that's a phenomenal goal. So a lot of times when I'm working with tech industry or other highly compensated employees, they say, yeah, well, I max out my 401k by January or February, to which I immediately respond, you should be doing Roth. And then they say, well, then I don't know what to do with my money. Now, people who are getting there to the point where they can max those out, what I've discovered, again, in a decade of doing this, is a lot of times people start out thinking that their life is going to go one way. We're going to work until we're 65. We're going to fill up that 401k full of money where we're going to retire and take Social Security and go fishing. But a lot of times they end up like these other clients of mine who turn around and all of a sudden they're 45 years old and they've been in the tech industry or they've been physician assistants for 15 or 20 years, and they're really in a spot where they can do a lot more. Some of the drawbacks of filling up a 401k with all your money or stuffing all that money into a 529 or an HSA is that for every time the government gives you a gift, they put a handcuff on you. If we look at a 401k, every dollar you stuff into this thing can't come out of there until you're 59 and a half. So this couple spent 10 to 15 years in the Navy, then they got out and they've been working a decade at the hospital that they're currently at, and all of a sudden they find themselves making a combined household income of around $500,000 or $600,000. If I were to advise them to fill up this entire bucket full of money, that's fine, but that's all money that we can't use until we're 59 and a half without paying taxes and penalties on it. So where we thought we were getting a good deal from a taxation standpoint, maybe now if they both turn 50 and decide mom wants to stay home and we kind of need to maybe start using some of this money to supplement their income or accomplish other goals, now we're going to start paying taxes and penalties. So they're just like another couple that I met, and the mom is an attorney and she makes about $450,000 a year, and the dad actually stays home and is raising the son, which I think is phenomenal. I mean, to get to spend actually all day with your son, and I think they have another one on the way, that's just great. So again, during the financial planning process, when we were doing their investment plan and we were doing some tax planning, again, both of them said, well, hey, we should max out. We should take a lot of this $450,000 and put it in a 401k as much as we possibly can. And then can we do backdoor Roth? And can I do any kind of self-directed 401k for my husband? We could employ him and put all this money away. And I said, well, hey, wait a minute. They have one of the coolest goals of any of my clients. They want to start a brewery, which means they're going to be my clients for life. And I'm going to go visit them at their place of work out in Seattle, which sounds awesome. So I said, well, hey, wait a minute. Maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we don't want to stuff, $23,000, $24,000 a year into that 401k, because you're going to need that money to go help you accomplish that goal of having that brewery. So those are some of the drawbacks. 401k has a 59.5 timeline on being able to pull your money out. 529 plans for education. Yeah, if that money grows up and you use it all for education related purposes, it comes out tax free. But a lot of the people that I work with are raising their kids so responsibly. They are working so hard, teaching their kids the good values. And this doesn't apply just to high income earners. This applies to anybody who just instills those values in their kids. So a lot of times it means those kids might get academic scholarships, or they might get athletic scholarships, or they might join the Marines and go have the government pay for their education. But a lot of times I've seen money pile up in these 529 accounts. And if you pull those out, or if you have to pull them out because your kid goes to trade school, becomes a high-powered linesman, which one of my friends from high school did, which was a phenomenal way for him to kind of retire early. If you pull those out, again, you have to pay taxes and penalties. So a lot of times where people stuff a bunch of money that really isn't as restrictive as far as I can really calculate is HSAs. So that is money where you can get tax-free growth and tax-free distributions, which is awesome. And based on what I've seen my retirees who've made it into retirement and then get older, in that life cycle is that we end up actually spending a lot of that money for healthcare. So healthcare is probably not one of those things that may happen, it may not happen. But so HSAs I am a fan of, but not at the expense of not working less, or not at the expense of not taking that sabbatical and going to Alaska. Definitely not at the expense of not starting your brewery. So really there's two ways you can invest money into what I call the war chest. Like, we have a goal, we need to attack it with money. And we need to attack it with money where we don't want to pay excess taxes and fees. So the two places you can do that is, one, a non-qualified investment account. So there's no tax advantage there, but there's a liquidity advantage, meaning you can go and touch that money, you can get out the growth. So I set a firefighter and a nurse on this path. They want to sell their house eventually, move to Montana. We did a calculation for how much money that would take. So he's maxing out his firefighter's 457 plan, but then we actually reduced her contributions just to the limit, only to get the match, and we put the rest of that money in that non-qualified investment account. Now, managing those investments, trying to get them as much money on the upside as they can while reducing the amount of money they lose if the market doesn't do what we want. We calculated we could retire them actually in 10 years, sell the primary residence, and they can move to Montana and kind of spend more time with their kids and do these passion projects that they have. That's a non-qualified investment account. Then you just have to pick the investments that you're gonna make, right? Try and manage it, make sure that it grows with the market and doesn't lose too much when the market tanks. Another great place where you can put excess money that you kind of build up is in real estate. So real estate can do things like passive income cash flow. You get depreciation, you get certain advantages and disadvantages. Again, with real estate, it's a little less liquid. But that's another great place to put those excess funds that maybe we don't necessarily lock up in that long-term retirement account because we have shorter term plans. So I hope you found that helpful. If you have something in your life where you're not just looking at age 65, you're not just looking at Social Security, and you're kind of asking yourself, can I make this happen? Can this goal happen? How much money do I need? Where will that money come from? What's my passive income strategy? Whatever it is. If you have that midterm goal, there's quizzes below in the description. You can click on one of those. As soon as I get time, I review each one of those quizzes individually and will send an individualized response. And if you did find anything here helpful, you can subscribe, you can like it. That lets me know what kind of content people like, and I can put more free financial advice stuff up here on the internet for you. Thanks.